So, Monday, live before lock, 7-game slate. Myself, Fast Eddie Fear, here to break down 7 games that we have tonight. What do you think of this slate tonight?
I really like it. I enjoy it.
I'm
a fan of it. I'm excited to be here.
I like it a lot more now. It's not like anything's changed. I've just dug in a little bit further, but I like it a lot more than I did when I woke up this morning. And that's all I'm looking for. Just a good old-fashioned quality 7-game Monday.
That's nice. Yeah, it's we've gotten off that really annoying NBA trend for a week where they did 3, then 11, then 3, then 11, then 12, then solid 7er.
Housekeeping, live before lock is the promo code. One big word, 50% off your first month with us. Any package of your choosing, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. So if you want to try us out, 50% off live before lock. Promo code is on the screen. Also, we are brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. If you go to bit.ly/awesomeo, you could sign up, get $10 on a $10 deposit, $20 on $100, $50 on $200. And I believe it's still going on today. If you sign up and use the code awesomeo, they will just give you $5. So free money. You can't beat it.
Yeah. You know what else is free money?
Everybody listening to this show, hearing our advice.
Very nice. Kyle Lowry with Kawhi Leonard out. I don't understand. Maybe it's because, and I want to query you real quick before we go. Do you have something in your algorithm? You wouldn't need it, obviously, being the brilliant personage that you are. But you have something in your algorithm that goes, hey, Kawhi Leonard is out. Really, Goose Kyle Lowry? Do you know what I'm saying? Because I am still constantly shocked at his lack of ownership. On yesterday's 4-game late slate, he was 30% owned on a 4-game slate without. I give the fuck up. I really don't know. Literally, it's 30% the value of all the advice I've given this year, which is just play Kyle Lowry when Kawhi Leonard is out. Like they've played 35 games together and he's played 18 games without him. And when they're in there together, Kyle Lowry averages 34 and change fantasy points. And when he's out, he averages 46. And he always costs $7K. It reminds me when back when they were, giving basically Embiid the every other game treatment. Every other player on the 76ers was a fairly good play every time Embiid was out because they were getting that price tag where they were $500 too cheap every time that Embiid was out. And then Embiid would play and they all of a sudden all became kind of bad because they were $500 too expensive.
Yeah.
And it's just like Kyle Lowry has generally been a pretty shitty play when Kawhi is in there. And when he's out, he's got like 3 games in the 30s and 5 games over 55 and just, was at 50 before overtime yesterday. And just, I don't know, people. I don't know what it's going to take, but this consummate disrespect of shout out to Kawhi. Took down some more 5-digit GPPs yesterday.
Nice.
Always exciting for me to see guys who have been, I've recognized their names in chat and watching me or us for 3 or 4 years continue to take one down. It's subtly flattering that after several years they haven't grown tired of me. Sort of like a woman. Sort of an endurance award.
I think that people just don't really know the next step when they see Kawhi being out. And every single rate of Kyle Lowry's just changes dramatically for the better. Yeah. His assist rate gets a dramatic boost. His rebound rate gets a boost. His usage goes through the roof in comparison. I don't think that most people don't really know how to adjust for that stuff. They don't know how to query it. They don't know what the impact really is. That's why
I get that. I just figure at some point you notice it. Like, that's weird. He got 50 again. And, must be random. But just, I don't know. Stuck in my craw. It's nice. I like it. It's free money, sure, as you said.
Okay, so we've got 7 games. We've got studs scattered all over. Who is your play today? Who is the guy you have your eye on the most?
Ends up being a little bit site dependent as always, sure, but I'll go with Devin Booker.
Ooh, I like it.
The matchup just looks too good for him. Got 40 minutes in his last game. Really profiles as the kind of player who's been able to spike a serious upside here. Obviously, this is not an ideal matchup against, the best team in the NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks. But although it's worth pointing out that should somehow Milwaukee lose the number 1 seed in the East, they will look back to the game earlier where they played the Suns in Milwaukee and lost, because that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just profiles to have a simply massive upside. I don't expect the ownership to be overly significant. There's a lot of shooting guards in that middle range that I really like a lot. There's obviously Bogdan even on FanDuel, but at DraftKings at that still way too discounted price. Again, anyone who sort of paid attention knew that when Bagley went out, that Bogdan and Barnes were going to be the two guys who picked up the most minutes there, and had a couple really aggressive people. I actually had someone like come at me. And normally, I'm not a combative person on Twitter, so I just laid off it. But someone was like, "I can't believe you're saying play Spellman over Giles." This was a couple games back, where they were both $3,100 on DK, and I was like, "Look, I've Spellman playing 30, 31 minutes, and Giles playing 19.
Yep.
Giles played 17, but he outscored Spellman in the quadruple overtime game because obviously Spellman got hurt.
Yeah.
And then the guy came back and was like, yeah, the guy came back and was like, "See, I told you." And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what happened.
That's how that works.
Yeah. That's how that works. So, anyhow, looking at those shooting guards today, I really like Buddy Hield. I really like Bogdan Bogdanovic. I really like Lou Williams, who has already smashed the Lakers a couple times this year, and there's no reason he wouldn't do it a third time. But yeah, I think this is one of those spots you can randomly get 65 out of Devin Booker. So I'm pretty excited to go back there, base it the ownership and the upside. That's the first one that comes to mind when you ask that question.
Okay, I'm a fan of Devin Booker right now. I am over the field, so that makes me feel pretty good.
What do we have for a field on I guess like 13% on DK? I'm hoping. Maybe that's wishful thinking.
You are way off. It is 12.
Okay, we'll take it. I also like Brook Lopez in this game. I don't obviously just tournaments because there are just some slam dunk center plays on DK. Alex Len, obviously, you can make a strong case for it. Dwight Powell, Rudy Gobert, all center only, all brilliant options.
Yeah.
If you're looking to pivot in a tournament, probably my favorite first guy to go at is Brook Lopez. He toyed with DeAndre Ayton in the first matchup, and unfortunately, I think that was the game Brolo shot 0 for 12 from 3. But that's one of those things that I look at and go, yeah, but he took 12 threes. So, like, I don't know. I sort of like the upside to potentially come in there. He's really, was speaking with some people the other day. He's really just evolved as a player, which is really impressive to see in what I think is his 11th year in the NBA. Even defensively, his block shots per 36, or he's almost up to 3 per. So like that brings him some sort of upside. So that's sort of a cute pivot if you can come up with $300 over Dwight Powell. As far as the chalk centers go there, I slightly prefer Powell and Gobert to Alex Len if I have to play a couple of them. It's not that there's anything wrong with Len as a play, and having Whiteside in there, assuming they don't come to blows, which is a thing they do.
Yeah, not out of the realm of possibility, I guess.
Yeah. It's it helps him because you're more likely you get the double big time with him out there next to Dedmon. I would have had a concern earlier in the day. Is like, look, if Whiteside is out, they may end up running some Derek Jones, Kelly Olynyk 4 or 5 for a lot of the game, and maybe just a lot of that Alex Len time turns into Vince Carter, etc. That's a little bit less likely now with us expecting to get. I have 23 minutes only if it's on Whiteside. I do think he ends up getting limited a little bit here, but pretty confident in Alex Len too. But I slightly prefer the 2 spend up options over Alex Len as my top 2 centers.
Interesting. I can't get enough Len as of right now. Not that I like getting Alex Len. I just can't do anything to stop it, basically. Yeah.
I have Alex Len for 33 fantasy points, which feels really good. I have Dwight Powell for 41 and Rudy Gobert for 50. They just end up slotting in a little bit more for me.
Wow, but you like Len even more than I like Len.
Yeah. Those guys are. It's really hard for me not to. I would be building several DK lineups until I got to one that didn't have at least one, if not 2 of those guys in it, with the double center spots for those guys. But yeah, no, I like Alex Len quite a bit. I'm on FanDuel where the center is not nearly as advantageously priced. One of the rare days I kind of like punt and center. Obviously, the Uber chalk, I'm sure he's somewhere in the 50% owned range, but that makes sense.
Yeah, nothing crazy on DK, obviously. Alex Len ownership on FanDuel is in a tier of his own. Second highest guy is Kent Bazemore right now at 31%.
Yeah.
Alex Len is at 52.
I'm happier to have 52 Len than I would be to have 31 Bazemore. I like Bazemore a lot, obviously. Still a number of guys that's still going to get 30-something minutes out of him. But there's a lot of shooting guards I liked. So there's just a possibility in which, Bazemore is just fine and you get, 27 out of Bazemore, which objectively feels just fine, but you get, 46 out of Field and 51 out of Lou Williams and 62 out of Booker and just all these other guys putting up massive games. And because of sort of that way that FanDuel works, it just ends up not being the best spot to pay down. So I'd be a little more inclined to eat the chalk on Len than to eat the chalk on Bazemore. But 4,400 is well too cheap.
Yeah. Those FanDuel prices for some of these Atlanta guys are just completely insane.
That whole game is weird with how just some guys are obscene on one site and some guys are obscene on the other site.
Yeah, like Bembry being 4,600 on FanDuel and 3,500 on DraftKings.
Right. And I'm not, I think you have to do some work to even get to Bembry on DK. I still have him, 23, 24 minutes. And with Adams in there and looking halfway decent, I don't think he does a whole lot of the ball handling. He's obviously very much in play, but there's a lot of excellent value. I ended up with tinkering around with DK. I ended up with a lot of balance today. The lineup I'm looking at in front of me has no one under 5 and no one over 8.
Okay. Yeah,
Guys.
I have some LeBron and I have some Jokic, but
Sure.
I'm much more in like the Luka, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Devin Booker range.
Yeah, there's just some monster guys there. I have absolutely no problem with the guys you mentioned. I like LeBron. We are coming to the point that if they don't, the next game they lose, I think they start to roll him back and just go full next year.
This is the one. They have to catch the Clippers, and they cannot afford to lose this tiebreaker as well. They've already lost the tiebreaker against the Spurs. If they drop this one, it's like double. It's a double jeopardy loss for them.
I think they go under 1% to make the postseason, or they'd be around there. Now they're at 3, 4, 5, depending on exactly how you compute it. But yeah, I expect to get all the LeBron, and this is just about the last time. So I do end up with him quite a bit on FanDuel. I do like him significantly more than Giannis if I have to pick one of those guys today. Not that Giannis doesn't make a particularly brilliant pivot, and sadly the price came back up on FanDuel where they gave you that 1 day 11K tease. But no, I'm right with you there. Another guy that I haven't had time to look at our ownership at all, but I imagine I like more than the field is Ricky Rubio. 5,900 on DK is really nice. I don't expect the minutes to actually be limited in any significant degree. The matchup is really, really juicy. I mean, the Jazz in general are brilliant, so I'm not going to have any issue with you playing any of the top 6 Jazz players. But I like $5,900 Ricky Rubio a lot, and is over 50 last couple times against the Pelicans, if that matters to you. But just on paper, projects really nicely for me. So that's another place I think I'd plant a flag and get in there a little bit over.
Okay, 2 things to say. One, I'm with you on Rubio. I'm slightly over the field. He's getting a little bit of love, 15% on DK. Okay. Nothing crazy, but just putting that out there. I'm totally fine with it. Second piece, Kurucs is starting for Travion Graham today.
He's not out of play. That was my one playable net today. I mean, obviously you can play D'Angelo Russell on any day. He can randomly put up 55, and there's no reason he can't do it in this matchup. But that was the net I had the most interest in. I'm kind of disappointed the news came out. Now I probably have much less. But I figured he would get the start, and I had him in for 26, 27 minutes. I was kind of excited for Rodions Kurucs here. That would have been the one guy I was happy to throw my spoon at. But
I was a little high on him this morning. I walked his minutes back after the show with Adam just because of the ambiguity and what was going to happen to start. But now that he's starting, I'm a little bit more comfortable. I'm bumping him back up to the 26, and he's a functional, really nice value drop salary guy on FanDuel and a solid punt on DK.
Yeah, I'm there over Dirk.
Oh, my God, yeah. I have to. Old man, he could break in half. I love him, but
you could.
I can't do it. We also got news that Bryn Forbes will play. Heat starting lineup: Winslow, Waiters, Richardson, Olynyk, Adebayo.
Sorry, come again. Whiteside not starting.
Whiteside not starting.
Okay, let me reload. I should have an alert should have been thrown at me for that. Hey, there it is. Just a few seconds ago. Interesting.
I think that allows you to throw center in the garbage now for the
Heat.
Heat.
I mean, it's I wanted to say this seems like a spot in which, Whiteside can go nuts and would have been interesting in tournaments, but then decided, I'm worried with the hip, and they're still futzing around for the playoffs out there. So I do think they're going to take a good shot at winning this game. But I was going not to recommend Whiteside after thinking about it for a while, and this obviously confirms that a little bit. Yeah, it's obviously a mess out there. I can see the backcourt. Wade at 5K feels pretty good in this spot on DraftKings, especially. I can certainly see myself getting there. But Adebayo, I still prefer. I think Bogdan was the person I ended up pivoting most to in that $5,600-$5,700 range on DK. Not out of play for me. I would probably slightly rather Olynyk in this matchup, but they all just are sort of one of tournament plays. The team is going to still stay kind of deep, but obviously the matchup is pretty pretty sexy there. So
yeah,
I'm
I like Bam on FanDuel. I don't really have any interest on DraftKings.
Yeah, no, that feels about right. And FanDuel, again, it's tough because you're dealing with Powell at not that much more money at the power forward position as well there.
Yeah, I mean, in lieu of paying up for Randall or Aldridge or Millsap or the artist formerly known as Anthony Davis, like you could just play Powell and Bam Adebayo for $11,800 at power forward and walk away with a smile on your face.
Yep, don't mind that at all. Again, Olynyk at 56, I still think is just fine. For the micro punts, I probably prefer Noah Vonleh over the rest of them. But again, you need to be really comfortable letting it go. And again, I think that leads to the construction where I find myself wanting LeBron more on FanDuel than on DK is an artifact of the fact that I can play 3 punts on FanDuel and I only need 2 of them to get there.
Yep.
As opposed to on DK, it's like, okay, I can play, 3-4K guys so that I can play LeBron and the Booker that I like and various other guys, but they all need to hit. So
yeah, if you have Powell and Kurucs and Alex Len, you've got plenty of money to go around at point guard, shooting guard, and small forward to get to whatever you need. There's not a shortage of value tonight.
Nope, feels good.
It feels like weird value, but there's certainly not a shortage of it.
I agree. What do you think about Bledsoe back in Phoenix? He was unimpressive in the game in Milwaukee. If that factors into your decision.
I'm a big fan. Public likes him as well. I can't get away. He's just been really good lately. Phoenix defense is trash. Nice little pace spot. 123 implied total for the Bucks is highest on the slate. If this game even mildly stays close and Bledsoe gets to 30 minutes or more, he's a guy I want to have for sure.
Yeah, he's someone who I was really riding for a couple weeks there when he kept being 3 or 4% owned and was putting up some really massive games and hilariously had obviously the dreadful game against Boston. That being Boston makes some sense. And then the absolute stinker with Giannis out against Chicago was pretty funny, where it was like, okay, this is the spot. And then, he's like, no, I'll be good in all the other games. But here, all the stars are aligning and, lost a few minutes to a blowout, but was so unimpressive in that game. But outside of that, it's been, obviously brilliant and coming off 2 savagings of the Kings and the Lakers, I think it was.
That's right.
So, yep. I'm all about that. On FanDuel, I would rather play Bledsoe. On DK, I would probably rather play Rubio at their prices, but yep.
Yeah, I like him either way. I don't have any problem getting to Middleton, and here's a guy that we should probably have a quick conversation on because he's popping up a lot for me, and I'm not really sure if I'm comfortable with it. What do you think of Mirotić tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the DK price at I think 49 is the number there. I'm really curious. That's a spot where I getting some guys back. We've been dealing with the continued absences of George Hill and Sterling Brown, which affects the rotation to some degree, and then the limitations on Giannis, and then Bledsoe and Brogdon out briefly, and so there's a lot of moving pieces there. I hesitantly have him in at 26 or 27 minutes, and I think that makes him a really strong tournament play, but not with a ton of confidence. There's just too much going on there where I can't, scientifically you want to have like a control group, and there's just no control group. There's never a time I can look at, Mirotić there without, he just got back from a trade, or these 2 guys are hurt, or something's wrong with Ersan, or something's wrong with those other guys. So, So I'm curious. I will generally think that they want to get him a little more acclimated. I think they want him to be at least functionally available as a big piece for certain matchups in the postseason. So I'll stick with 26 or 27 minutes, which makes him just fine for me in what's obviously a stellar matchup. But yeah, I like him as a tournament play, but I definitely am curious as to exactly how well he's going to be deployed. I wish I had a better take, but it's one of those things where there's just so much going on that I have trouble feeling terribly confident in my reads.
Jakob Pertl also still starting.
Good. Cute, very nice, pivot off chalky Alex on. I like him plenty. I still think he's in that 26 to 28 minute range. Probably a little safer than Alex Lund. Like I would be more surprised to see Jakob Pertl play under 20 minutes than to see Alex Lund play under 20 minutes. One of those guys isn't coming short.
Yeah, I agree there. Is there anybody that you don't like that you think is probably getting a little too popular for today?
I will pop our ownership then.
Okay.
So we're sort of daddy liking here with this conversation.
We are, and we're sort of getting to that point too. So inverse daddy liking.
Derek Favors has been making me look bad, and by that I'm saying he's been making himself look really, really good.
Yeah.
The minutes have come up. There were 2 times in a row he ended up being really chalky, and I'm like, there's a matchup earlier this year where he played 18 minutes and Crowder played 31, and Crowder's $600 less and 1/7 the ownership. I would rather play Crowder, and he's just gone out and savaged. Had 3 steals and a block, or a block and 3, 1 steal and 3 blocks. I think 2 of his last 3 games. So the stocks have been there. He's just been crushing. The price is coming up. We have him at 14-15% at some point. I think I'd want to move off, but I kind of doubt it's here in what's a pretty delicious matchup.
Yes, it is.
I suppose I would come in. I mean, if I'm looking at guys that I dislike, the first guy I look at and sort of raise a hackle and feel a little nervous about is Rondo. The chalkier Rondo gets, the less I like Rondo. Rondo's been a couple 6-digit winners for us this year, but he was always at 3-4% owned. We were ahead of him at $4,300 when he started that first game. That was a lot of luck, but that placed somebody high in the Gladiator. Now you're having mid-20s Rondo. He projects great, but there's a billion guys who project great today, and yeah. Much like we're talking about Alex Len, Rondo, a guy who can just be disengaged, not involved, get benched for various reasons. So that's probably the first guy I'm looking at who has a lot of ownership, where I see, well, I can see how that could turn sideways and go badly.
He's not a guy that I have a terribly large amount of trust in.
Right.
That's probably the reason that he's been on like 6 teams in 6 years.
Yeah, that's which is interesting because people talk about him as a great locker room guy. He's a floor coach. He's a bench coach. Like it's people are like, I think he'd be a good coach when he gets done playing. It's an interesting situation. You don't usually see those two things conflated together. But no, most of the guys who are coming in as chalk at least reasonably project as should be pretty strong producing guys.
That's always good. I like the days when my Excel sheet just crashes in the middle of everything. Those are always fun.
Makes life interesting.
It makes life something.
Don't mind Derek White. He's looked really good.
I can't get him to pop up enough.
Yeah, I think I slightly prefer Mirotic at an identical price. Obviously different positions, though White is shooting guard eligible, which helps out a little bit. They're going back to giving him 30+ minutes. Another team that you can expect to try their hardest, however you want to take that, as definitely still. I think they're currently in the 8th seed. I think the Spurs are, so obviously still fighting for it. Probably Bembry is another guy. We have 15% Bembry right now in DK. Obviously, $3,500 feels pretty good, but the matchup not ideal. And again, I have him in only the mid-20s in minutes, so I guess slightly disinclined towards that.
I don't mind him all that much on DK. I don't know. It's all tied to how many minutes he gets as a backup point guard.
Right. Which I think is very possibly 0 here.
Yeah. If they're going to run out Jalen Adams for the difference of 48 and Trae Young, unless Trae Young gets the gate again.
For looking at a guy after you sink a shot over him.
So silly.
That's really silly. I don't know who like gets off on that other than that one ref or something. And to be fair, I don't hear a lot of people defending him, though I hear, a couple people talking about, game integrity or something, but come on, like,
No, it's silly.
you can't look at a guy, like, it's not even like a step over.
It didn't
You look
slow the
at
play.
him.
Like the play was just stopped for a second, and he gave him the look, which was exactly what he should have done when he hit it. It was a really sick three.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah, like I am the least trash talking basketball player in the world when I play myself, and I've done the stare down.
Yeah.
Like I've had someone talk jump, and I'll make a three and just get in that like.
Anybody that's played any sort of regular pickup with people, if you've ever hit a shot or maybe like 2 or 3 in a row, and that third one is in that guy's grill or at least from a spot on the floor where it matters, you're chirping, you're looking. It's just, that's basketball. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
Speaking of Trae Young, I see him as essentially unplayable today.
That's a bit strong for me, but he would be well down on the. I'd rather play Doncic, who I have trouble getting to, who's even a couple $100 cheaper on DK, and in what I consider a far stronger matchup. I mean, he's been. I do not want to sell the guy short. He has been sublime. I mean, his production has been incredible. If you ignore the ejection game, he's got like 2 out of the last 16 under 40. I mean, he is really, really throwing up some goddamn numbers. So, mad credit to you, but particularly in the matchup, I think it's getting a little bit too cute. So, yeah, I'm not going to object to anyone having him. I don't think he's out of play, but he would be. Again, there's just guys. I prefer Booker. I prefer Lou Williams. I prefer just a ton of guys in that guard range who I think can have equal 50, 60 point upside and save you $1,000 to $2,500.
I got a couple props for you if you want to check those out. ThriveFantasy.com.
Let's do it. Len and Dedmon starting.
It's weird in 2019, but I'll take what I can get.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for playing Whiteside.
We talked a little bit about Devin Booker earlier today. You can get 95 points for the over when selecting Devin Booker. Points plus rebounds plus assists, 30.5.
Over.
Yes. That is a very, very true statement. Over is sort of an understatement.
Yeah, I have him at 38, I think, for those 3 numbers combined or something.
37.8 is what I have right now. So.
Okay, yeah, sounds. You and I tend to be in lockstep, so that sounds right. But yes, Young, Porter, Bazemore, Dedmon, Len. So Bazemore is getting the start, which would have been very surprising to me if he hadn't.
Yes, I agree there. Let's hit one more Thrive prop while we're here. Donovan Mitchell is a guy that I like quite a bit today. Points plus rebounds. You get even action on either side. The line is 29.5.
I was going to say 30.5. I guess I'll take the over then. Barely. I like Donovan Mitchell quite a bit. I mean, I just love all the Jazz. This Pelicans matchup has been really, really juicy.
Apparently, I actually had a 34.7, so I am soaring over.
I have 32.9, so you have me by a bit there.
Do you care that Allen Crabbe is starting for the Nets?
I'm supposed to be the game log master, so I can tell you that he led the Nets in fantasy points when the only other time they played the Mavs earlier this year. He had 40.
How many minutes?
I don't remember. I can't believe I remembered that. I find that to be apropos of absolutely nothing. I doubt he accrues enough ownership that it's particularly damaging. So sure, knock yourself out. But again, we have some pretty good value that seems to be getting a little bit too cute. But starting for LeVert, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything for me. I mean, I still am tolerant of Kurucs as a punt play, but
I don't think a net has seen 30 minutes in 3 games. A net.
Yeah.
Counting, the really good ones. So we're counting D'Angelo Russell, I guess I'm talking about there. So like you're Russell 23, 28, 28. I don't think a net has seen 30 minutes in the last 3 games. So Trevion Graham is out, which is nice. But yeah, 27 minutes of Allen Crabbe is always going to be in play in tournaments, and you can feel a little more secure about it. So I don't object to it, but I certainly would not prioritize it.
Yeah, they have plenty of other people to fill in Travion Graham's minutes.
Yeah, I mean FanDuel 3,800.
Yeah.
Probably now my favorite cheap FanDuel. I'm gonna throw him away shooting guard, so I'm fine with that. I'd probably play him over Hoarder at this point. He makes an interesting Bazemore pivot if you were trying to find $600 to do something with. Again, that's a little bit interesting, but yeah, nothing does not change the lay of the land for me much.
Okay. Yeah, I feel the same way. Just can't really get to it. I'm running a new crunch now. I had a little bit of Whiteside before, so I'm trying to correct that mistake. Well, I guess not mistake, but correct that problem now that he's not starting.
Yes.
Just looking through some of my exposures to see. Did we touch on Sacramento at all?
Not really enough.
Because I'm a big Buddy guy today. He's even the thumbnail on the video today.
Oh wow. No, I think that's well called for. Obviously, the matchup is sublime. The Knicks give up a lot of threes, unsurprisingly, and the team shooting them make a lot against the Knicks, and about what you would expect to see there. Yeah, and the minutes have been solid. Again, when you remove Bagley, those other five guys have really solidified the hell up there. I don't mind Harrison Barnes on FanDuel, just if you need to play a small forward between 4 and 12K, he's fine. He's going to get 40 odd minutes. He certainly think he hopefully won't disappoint you too much at that spot. I don't mind Willie Cauley-Stein, especially on FanDuel. Again, I'd rather play Brook Lopez in a tournament on DK. I'd rather obviously play Dwight Powell. But FanDuel, I think he's only 6,100. That makes a fair bit of sense for me. The matchup is pretty good there. And again, his minutes are much less imperiled without Bagley there. So I can see doing that. But, they've given every indication they're just going to run a pretty traditional 9-10 man rotation at this point. Give all the guys who are picking up the starts for them into the 30s in minutes. They're obviously also fighting to get their way into the playoffs. So it's they're falling out of their probability there. But yeah.
Do you have any Knicks hot takes?
God damn, that's fucking like Cornette back in the rotation. I don't even.
We still don't know about DeAndre Jordan, so like it could be even worse.
They're exactly. They're cute on FanDuel. You want to tell me you want to try $4,900 Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Mudiay? Fifth Element reference. Shout out Luke Perry. Or 6K. Dennis Smith Jr. on the fact that he isn't even you figured Dennis Smith would at least consistently get his time.
Yes.
He's 20 years old. He was a very relevant part of a centerpiece trade. You really figured they'd let him a step. Nope. No, because we got to make sure Emmanuel Mudiay gets his time. I just that one mind boggled me. I really could believe wow, they're really having a minutes fight between those two guys. I really didn't see Fizdale getting that far off the goddamn reservation from what makes any sense, but that is also a thing that is happening. So I don't have any Knicks hot takes. Anything can and will happen. You can obviously play Mitch in a tournament. His, if he doesn't get in foul trouble, 20 to 24 minutes is pretty well locked in and, can get you 8 blocks in that period of time. So if I was building 150 lineups, I would have some Mitch in there. Smack me if I ever mention Kevin Knox again. And no, it's F that team. Anthony Davis is out. Now we have to have a conversation.
Yes, we do.
That's exciting.
I don't like that team anymore.
Well, thankfully Utah, so it's not crap, I got to figure out who's going to be good here. No one is necessarily good here. This does not have to work out for anyone.
No.
So
Check Diallo plays, 24 minutes, I guess.
I'd have 27 at this point, I think. Jahlil Okafor, do we have an official out?
I don't know if it's official or not. I am treating him like he's out.
Yeah, he was doubtful, I think was the last I saw.
In the last month, every time Anthony Davis has been out, Check Diallo has not played more than 23 minutes.
Okay. That seems particularly relevant. But in how many of those games was Jahlil Okafor also out?
It's a great point. So Diallo is probably going to need to pick up some time at the 5, right?
That's what I'm presuming.
And Randall is going to need to play every single minute of his at the 5.
Yeah. Again, obviously Utah, not something you brilliantly love. Even you can, make some argument that your Utah exposure is slightly imperiled due to the fact that this is going to be really hard for this team to be competitive at this point. You're going to get some more, Darius Miller in there at the functional 4, who's going to play 31, 32 minutes now. Kenrich Williams will slot down and play some more at the 4. Etuan Moore will fill in and pick up some of that time.
Don't forget Stanley Johnson.
Oh, God. Stan. But, I do not think it changes a ton for me outside of some additional interest in Check Diallo at 48 on FanDuel, 41 on DK, I think is the number there. But certainly not a must go to in Utah, etc.
Okay.
Kenrich Williams is now back down to $4,300. I think he probably ends up playing like 34 minutes again now. I probably go there first before I play Check Diallo, believe it or not, just because I get about 1% ownership.
Okay. I'm updating minutes right now.
Okay.
Just have to finish off this little power forward section, which is not really appealing.
I think Vonleh is a better play than Diallo on FanDuel. I'll make sure I have the prices right. I'm pretty sure Vonleh was 39 and Diallo is 48.
He's not.
Who is not?
Vonleh is not a better play than Diallo at this point.
No, he's not at this point. I mean, it's $1,000 difference. I mean, it's a difference between.
You would need to know how much Vonleh is playing.
Right. Yeah. So if you told me you knew DeAndre Jordan was out, I would be fine with Vonleh as a play. And he's just fine as a play anyway, because again, FanDuel, you can just throw him away at $3,900.
Yeah.
But no, and not in any real sense of the term, ignoring the dropping of the score. Is he anywhere near as good as Check Diallo there?
All right, I've got projections in for everybody. They will be updated for our premium subs in the next minute. So if anybody was curious how the Pels would look with Anthony Davis out, congratulations, you're in luck. I've just solved that problem for you.
Well done. And again, I would generally want Kurix more than Vonleh, I think, at this point too. Yeah. FanDuel is, I think, 36 is the number on him. So.
And if I take a look at this quick, just before I put the update in, just to verbalize it to the public. Whenever this is done saving. There we go. Yeah, Check Diallo on FanDuel at 4,800 looks pretty tasty. So all the people that are yelling at me about Check Diallo a couple days ago, just FYI, I'm on board today. And I'm on board on DraftKings as well. I gave him 26 minutes, and he is becoming a very, very popular play for me.
Yep. The matchup obviously concerns me a little bit, but he's going to play in the blowout too. So, yeah, I do not get away. I would want some Kenrich Williams. I'd have to really think about which one I wanted to play one of. Like, I think there's a real chance you get 35, 36 minutes of Kenny at this point. And again, has been really unimpressive for a while here, but had a couple big games back at the start of his run. So I'd have some interest there as well. Just points per dollar, though. You'd have to prefer Diallo as a play.
Something to point out to you right now. Kind of exciting.
Uh-oh.
You ready? It's not news. Well, it's news, but it's not the news we typically get. Congratulations. We have officially hit 2,000 live members, or live people, on a show. So thank you to everybody that is tuning in right now. You have officially broken our record. We broke 2,000 today.
You're part of the fam. Thanks for coming. That's great.
Thanks for joining us. That's we've been keeping our eye on this we are at 2,000 on the dot right now. And you know what? I'll take it however we can get it.
We'll take it. Didn't quite make a Space Odyssey, but we will handle it. Someone just said, is Vonleh a solid play on DK? No.
I mean,
solid is the absolute worst possible adjective.
He's not solid in a showdown slate.
He's solid like my poop after a gallon of ice cream.
Yeah.
It's not. No. Don't. No.
Nothing is solid on the Knicks.
True.
There are plays. None of them are solid.
Yeah, I hate days that the Knicks have a decent matchup because it's like, someone may be relevant here. Like, thankfully we have, Kubrick's news and Len and all the cheap guys on the Hawks and a million other cheap guys. So there's a real chance that you don't need a Nick. So you don't need to tell someone you have to play Knicks. But those 4-game slates where the Knicks are in a good matchup, but it's like,
Oh, God.
yep, we know who's going to win the tournament today is going to be the guy who has the member of the Knicks at $3,400, $4,100 who puts up 38 and, wasn't in the rotation last game. I don't know who that is, but that's so yeah.
We hit it. You called it. We were close to the All-Star break.
I suppose that counts as calling it. that's yeah, we'll go with that. I called it.
And you know what's really crazy? It didn't go higher than that. We hit 2,000 on the dot, and now we were back under. So, doesn't matter. We got there, and I took the screenshot to prove it.
It counts.
It does
It
count.
counts. Put a bag on your head. Doesn't matter. Still counts.
Oh, they are my favorite people. They are my favorite people. Okay, so what can we talk about now? We've had some news come in. We've hit on just about every game.
Any Spurs?
Any what?
Spurs?
I don't have any problem with Aldridge. I'm just sort of with the field.
Yeah, I do like him a little more than DeRozan, which is an interesting question. Again, this is, I think, third time with Denver, and both he and DeRozan had, the game once, but I do generally prefer Aldridge.
Yeah, I just really don't like rostering Spurs. It doesn't ever seem to be like a fun experience for anybody.
Yeah, but they are coming in at juicy ownership for that reason.
Yes.
So I can sort of dig it.
Yeah, when I'll have like 15% of both of those guys or somewhere in that neighborhood, and I'm totally fine with it. They're not like enthusiastic plays. They're plays for play's sake.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's the case. DK, you get Aldridge at power forward, 7,700. That feels unlikely he'll disappoint you, but again, also somewhat unlikely that he randomly spikes the, 55 you need to be truly happy.
Well, we've reached that amount of time where I normally start doing something, and Slack has taken a look to it. Don't Embiid my status is getting a little impatient. So let's start taking some Slack questions. What do you say?
Okay, let's do it.
Is Zubats a fair pivot from Len in a FanDuel GPP?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Now on DK, I really love leaving, again, general, somewhat obvious, but I guess maybe this is useful for 6 of those 2,000 people. Make sure you put the guys in the late games in those bottom 3 spots in your guard forward and utility spots. And I really like JaVale McGee if he's starting. If he's not starting, he's just fine too. But $3,800 JaVale McGee is in a savage spot. Again, if you look at the games against the Clippers this year, he was out for one of them, and the other one played 15 minutes off the bench and had 25 fantasy points. And I wouldn't quite project him for that 1.7 or something, but that's a pretty juicy spot. And not enough people pivot to stuff like that, and especially how locked in people are at center. So, start by, you probably will not have news, almost certainly will not have news in time with your Alex Len locking 3 hours previous to that game. But, if you have late swap guys in there, definitely consider getting some JaVale McGee in your life. And he's not out of play in tournaments right now, especially at that DK price. So that's definitely one to mention. But Zubac, absolutely a fine pivot as well.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Because I don't really know what the goal is if you're pivoting off of Len to play a different low-priced guy. Because your real issue is the real issue with playing Len is missing the Jokic, Gobert, 8 and whatever, like monster game.
Yeah,
the points that you can't get back. So,
yeah, I'd rather do that on FanDuel or something.
Yeah, with it being only one center, that makes I don't really like going to a different low-priced pivot. Because then he has to, not only does he have to beat Alex Len, but he also has to be a good enough value to beat all of the other guys that you're not going to.
Yeah, I don't know. I will even give you. I'm absolutely. I would rather pivot to the high price guys. You say I don't want to play Alex Len on FanDuel where he's going to be super chalky. I would want to play Jokic even at 11-2. I don't hate playing Gobert at 10-3, who just has a chance of being the highest scoring center by some number, and all he needs to do is really outscore Jokic to be particularly sexy at that number.
Yep.
Willie Cauley-Stein is my favorite guy in the middle there, though I think you can Deadman for a little bit less. And JaVale is only 4,400 there. But yes, I think my first pivot would be to Jokic.
Okay.
But if the question is I want to play Zubac over him, is that reasonable? Again, on FanDuel also, Zubac is 500 more than JaVale McGee, and ends up being not that much less than I think Pirtle's 53. Yeah, so Pirtle's 53. Dedmon's only 58 on FanDuel. Willie Cauley-Stein 61. So for me, especially if you're building multiple lineups, I don't think Zubac is out of play in what I still think is a pretty fine spot. But there are many centers I would rather pivot to. I would certainly rather save the money and play JaVale, for example.
DKGPP, Lou Will or Bledsoe?
I will take Lou Will, but I really love both those plays.
Okay.
I slightly would rather play Lou Will at what I think will be lower ownership. I'm going to look now because I don't know offhand and didn't get that deep. Lou Williams,
I think they're
11.
pretty comparable.
Yeah, Lou Williams 11. I would think they're pretty close. Bledsoe 18. Yeah, I will go with Lou Will. I like them both. I mean, I have them both projected well into the 40s. And if you got 45 out of Lou Will, it would be his worst game against the Lakers this year by a decent bit.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been really good. I mean, it's the kind of stuff he lives for.
The Lakers, yeah. I think 2 games of 10 for 18 and 11 for 18 from the field. Just takes a lot of shots, gets open about what you would expect. I like Gallinari on DK at 6,300, by the way.
So do I.
Yeah, he was a little disappointing when we started off there. I thought he was going to be better than he has been since Tobias went out of town. So, but there's hardly been there. If you look over the last 4 games, he basically got 30 to 35 fantasy points in all of them. The game against Utah was tough. Shot only 3 for 14. Picked up some peripherals. Sacramento gave you 35. The Knicks gave you 35 in only 23 minutes and took 15 shots. Like, I do think, especially as he adjusts to more being the more focal point of those bigs, that will trend a little bit up. And just $6,300 in a pretty juicy matchup. I like Gallinari a fair bit there.
Okay. Can you rank Winslow, Ingles, and Mirotic on FanDuel for a single entry GPP?
I will start by saying in the same price range, I probably slightly prefer Harrison Barnes. Doesn't feel great, but it's just 39 minutes for me.
Yeah.
It's 39 minutes against the Knicks. I really have trouble going to some of these other guys we're talking about. His questions were Mirotic, and the thing is, Mirotic is 100 less than Barnes. Winslow and Ingles are $800 and $1,000 more expensive. So I mean, you're popping up to those guys. But my answer there is going to be Winslow. Just going to get minutes playing the Hawks. Ta-da! Analysis.
There we go. Can we consider Pat Connaughton again on DraftKings?
I mean, his minutes have been largely an artifact of the absence of Hill and Brown. So at 3,400, I think is the tag there. Yes, I think he's still playable in what's an exceptional matchup. He would play the blowout run in a game where a blowout is reasonably popular. So yeah, I think you can consider him. Not in my first lineup, but I don't have an issue with it.
Sure. Eric Bledsoe and Buddy Hield, or Devin Booker and Winslow in a FanDuel GPP?
I'll go with the first one. Feel free to correct me.
Yeah, okay. So will I. I like Winslow is the guy I like the least there. So
yeah, and I like Winslow just fine, but the other guys I'm actually a fairly strong proponent for, and ownership is fairly evenly spread tonight, so I will go with the former one there. Okay. The latter one would be slightly less chalky.
See what else we've got. JaMychal Green or Vonleh in a FanDuel GPP?
It's FanDuel, so I will take Vonleh. On DK, I probably take JaMychal Green.
Yeah.
As weird as that is, because I have to score it. FanDuel, Vonleh maybe starts, and if he does, plays between 11 and 28 minutes. And so I will take Vonleh on FanDuel where the question was specifically posed.
Okay.
I literally had 3 people tweet me the following tweets. Should I play Gallinari or Harrell? Gallo or Harrell? And Gallinari or Harrell? Who's the better play today? 3 tweets in under a minute and a half. It's pretty amusing if all those came in. I would very slightly prefer Montrezl Harrell. I like them both. I will slightly lean for the 3 of you and anyone else who is wondering that identical question. That's pretty weird. I would slightly lean towards Harrell. I like Harrell a lot. I like Gallo too. I will go with Harrell.
Alrighty. Bazemore and Giannis or Doncic and Josh Richardson, FanDuel cash.
Cash. Wow, what a weird question.
Yeah.
That's really close for me. What do you have?
I would go to Doncic and J. Rich. I prefer Doncic to Giannis. And then if that's my question, in a vacuum, I prefer Richardson to Bazemore, particularly in a cash scenario where now that Dragic is out, he's pretty much set for like 36 tonight.
Yeah, in cash, I got to go with the second one. I agree.
Any thoughts on Elfrid Payton tonight?
I still like him. I mean, he's playing 32, 34 minutes. The matchup obviously isn't ideal. I much prefer some Ricky Rubio, but in a tournament, I think you can go there. I think the absence of Anthony Davis nets out as a positive when you're trying to upside hunt with him. So I'm fine with it. He's obviously well down my list of guards I'm seeking to get, but in 150, I would have a couple of shares of Elf, and I ranked him appropriately with that designation.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have much of an issue one way or the other there.
Yeah, it's not certainly someone I'm targeting, but if I saw him, I'd be like, yeah, sure, the upside is approximately appropriately incentivized versus the risk.
Any thoughts on Pat Bev on FanDuel?
I mean, he should still be in play. Guard, obviously, a lot of spots we're really fans of tonight. So, again, fairly ambivalent. FanDuel would be the spot I would actually slightly rather do it. But
okay. Any thoughts on Kuzma? We'll stick to the Los Angeles side of the equation right now.
I like him. You'd like to see him starting, but even though he doesn't have a particularly true center game and or skill set, centers versus the Clippers has been an absolutely preposterous beatdown for quite some time now, regardless as to who they roll out there. So we obviously have a lot of power forward plays on FanDuel we find particularly sexy, but at $7,000, the ceiling is very present for him in that spot. So I like him. I think it's a very strong tournament play.
Let's see. What else do we have here?
And it's not like if he doesn't start, he's not going to get plenty of time at the 4 and what have you. Like you're not dead playing Kuzma under any circumstances. So yeah, big fan.
I feel like we didn't touch on this, but LeBron or Giannis?
LeBron.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I like Giannis plenty, but I literally have him projected for 9 minutes less. I can't.
Yeah, it's that's the tricky part. It's really hard to justify someone that's going to play such a dramatically different amount of time in the most likely scenario.
And again, there's a really relevant ownership question there where we have, Giannis at right now about half of LeBron. Now, I actually suspect we have LeBron a bit low and Giannis a bit high. We have LeBron 29, Giannis 13. I think you get into the 30s for LeBron, and I think you have Giannis closer to 10 or 11. But still, for me, that'll be LeBron. But there was a really interesting situation the other day where we had, 65% Russell Westbrook and identically priced 5 or 6% James Harden, where Westbrook had no Paul George and Harden was on a back-to-back against the Heat, and then Westbrook went out and crushed his ass. But it was an interesting situation because of their prices and positions, how directly you could draw the corollary between the two of them, and how Harden was literally 1/12 owned what Westbrook was, and that was just too little because he's going to just straight up beat Westbrook 1 out of 12 times.
Yeah, as of right now, I only have 20% LeBron. I have 5% Giannis. Again, most of that is going to Luka, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Devin Booker. So, where are we at? 3 minutes to go. Questions in. Rubio at point guard, Rondo utility, or Lou Will at point guard, McGee at utility? So, Rubio, Rondo, or Lou Will, McGee?
I slightly prefer the second one right now. Just giving you a couple extra options. Just make sure you have some sort of JaVale isn't starting plan, because at that point, he's still fine. Like if you got stuck playing, JaVale now seeing 17 minutes, that very possibly is not terribly disappointing, but I would probably slightly prefer that second one, giving myself the options.
Yeah, I'll take Rubio Rondo there up until 9 o'clock to see if we get a Lakers lineup.
Yep. Yeah, I think
the answer to that question is whoever's starting between Rondo and McGee, probably.
Right. So just have a plan either way is the most important question there.
Yeah. Well, at least there's plenty to swap off on in Lakers Clippers if things go awry.
Yeah.
Alrighty. 2 minutes to go. Rondo and Powell or Bledsoe and Vonleh in a DK GPP.
Rondo and Powell.
Yeah, there's too much Noah Vonleh talk today.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the guy has a halfway decent game. He's halfway decent at basketball. You would think at some point this would be in some way relevant, but no, that's not how we do things in New York.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't play a role at all.
Not factor into the conversation.
Yeah, skill and talent don't matter one bit. DK nope. Single entry GPP, Powell and Lou Will or McGee and Mitchell. People are focused on the same stuff today.
I will say Powell and Lou Will.
Yeah, so will I. If we get news that McGee is starting, it's McGee and Mitchell for me. That's not close.
I agree. Yep. If you get McGee starting at 3,800, you can absolutely destroy worlds. So that would be a priority play if you can make it happen under any circumstances.
1 minute to go, but Greek Ink just said we keep talking about James and Giannis. What about Jokic? I have Jokic in between LeBron and Giannis right now, at least on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I prefer LeBron and Giannis in the aggregate because of positional stuff.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, on FanDuel, you're specifically having to move away from him. On DK, I think he is just fine. The issue is I think 2 of those 3 starting center-only spots end up being really, really destructive. I think I'll be really surprised if Gobert, Powell, and Len, 2 of the 3 of those guys don't, 7x their money. So, I for that reason, I need either 2 of them or fail or Jokic to get, 64 to be super excited about it. That being said, he absolutely can. Not the best matchup for him, but not the worst. Hasn't been good this year against the Spurs, but last year he triple-doubled against Aldridge starting at center, which won't be the case here, which is a long way around of saying it's an absolutely fine Jokic spot to do Jokic things. But the largest disadvantage to him is the existence of other really, really sexy centers. Like, I can't points per dollar recommend him over Gobert.
Close. Close.
What do you have him for? Like 57?
Jokic?
Yeah.
56.
56? Okay, yeah. That's fine. I'm for a touch left. I have him at 54. But...
Okay. It's tight. It's real tight. We are locked, by the way.
Ooh. Well, let me
about that time. Everybody's favorite segment? I guess we'll call it a segment.
Segment? I'm Ron Burgundy. All right. DK had a $500,000 tournament. That was not that much to enter.
$5, right? No, I was thinking of a different sport.
Maybe. Yeah. I can't tell. I can see that a 0-point share is currently worth $5.95. So probably 7, I guess. That'd be one slightly more than 14%. That seems most likely. I'm going to guess it was 7. I guess it could have not filled. I don't know. Number 1 owned on DK, Alex Len, 43%. Yeah, that's about what I'd want. That feels pretty good. I mean, dude's obviously really cheap. I imagine I would have very, very slightly less, slightly preferring to play Powell and Gobert for the reasons I previously discussed. So I'll put a very slightly noticed dislike on the board. Where did you end up with your ownership on Alex there?
Alex Len, I have 38%.
Right, so basically the same thing I was saying. Number 2, 35%, Dwight Powell. I think I would have slightly more than that. I really like the spot for Dwight Powell.
What do we got in the early slate? Atlanta, Dallas.
I think those are the only 2 games. Yeah.
I don't know. Who are the other 2 teams? I'm already in my filter and I can't click off or it'll go away.
And the Hawks. And the Heat.
Heat and... You broke up there, sorry.
Sorry, Heat, Nets, Mavs,
the Nets.
Hawks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I've got my guys up here. Now we're good.
Okay, here we go.
Wow. Hold on. We've got news.
Oh, boy.
Anthony Davis will play today.
You assholes. Oh, my God. He's just trolling. He's just sitting there fucking with Alvin Gentry, and he walks into the office at 6:50. He's like, "Yo, Al, Can't do it. I'm too sick. I'm out of here. Walks out.
Psych.
Has a smoothie. Comes back in. I'm just fucking with you, Al. Just remember, you're my bitch.
Cool.
I'm in.
Cool. Have 30%. Check Diallo. Love making recrunches at 7:33.
On FanDuel?
No, on DraftKings.
Oh, okay. Well, then.
I didn't even think about FanDuel.
Yeah, FanDuel, you're a bit less happy about that.
I only have him once.
Okay. Well, that seems tolerable.
Yeah, and he'll still play 20 minutes, so
Yeah, no,
he's not dead in the water, but
before is out.
Yeah.
So that
not my favorite.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dick move there, bro. Bit of a dick move.
He's
doing that whole Kawhi Leonard I have a really positive image. Let me see what I can do to fuck this up.
Oh my god, this is so aggravating. Let me update this for everybody here.
It's like when Michael Jordan had that Hitler mustache in that Hanes commercial. I really think that was just a personal challenge thing. He was like, Jesus, I am a degenerate gambler. I really haven't been that great about issues for my community. Still, everybody loves me. I have this amazing Q score, and I'm wicked popular. Let's try a toothbrush mustache. Maybe that'll... No, everyone loves me. God damn it. So I think it's got to be one of those things where, the Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis, just I'm fun-loving and people generally like me. Let me see how much I can screw that up. Diallo to Giles. Ugh. Nope, I'll still take Diallo.
All right, everybody, just in case you're curious, if you're a premium sub and you're still paying attention, I have updated the minutes to put Anthony Davis back in. Yay.
What a dick.
Now I go to DraftKings and I do late swap.
Swap do. I will talk about the ownership.
Yes, please.
To fill some air here.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Didn't see this one coming at 7:33.
Yeah, no, I did not expect the 3 minutes post loss. Psych! Which really, I'd love to be the fly on the wall and figure out the process there by which such a thing occurred. But anyhow, number 2, Dwight Powell, 35. Again, I think I'd want nominally more than that. But I would be, around, I think I'd be 45 on Powell, 35 or 40 on Len, which ended up being nominally lower than the field. And over on Gobert, I have a feeling, although we don't know what his number is and will not know right now. Number 3, Luka Doncic, 25.68%. That's significant. That's more than I expected to see him at. I think I would have under that, just as an artifact of liking Devin Booker so much and a couple other guys. But Doncic obviously looks like he's in a great spot. Carries a really safe floor with everything he does for this team at this point. So no significant objection there. Another surprise for me, 4th place, 17% Justice Winslow.
I have 21.
Okay. That's and obviously this feels fine. Dragic being out obviously secures that play to a reasonable extent. You'll get your 30, 32 minutes, and the matchup is great, and the price is down because he hasn't been good. But I am surprised that you ended up with a little more of him than Dwayne Wade. I would have thought Wade would have been a little on top of that. Wade at 15.6. I like that. I probably would have had just about that. That feels like about the right number. Kelly O hanging in there at 13.5. Feels fine. Again, any of these guys against the Hawks do carry with them enough of an upside that these ownerships are well justified. Josh Richardson, 12.6. Basically same story there. Had a couple massive games out of his 3 cracks at the Hawks this year. Not terribly relevant because his role went from being, primary scorer, small forward, to in the second game basically running the point to now. So not a lot translates there, unfortunately. Some of the perils of just game log watching any of this stuff. D'Angelo Russell, 10.75%. I think that's a little more than I would want. You now have his, Dinwiddie back as the most omnipresent threat to him turning out well when you get the Dinwiddie game. Atkinson, for whatever reason, is loath to run them both out there at that time. Team largely healthy. Probably would want a little less than that, but obviously, D-Rust has the upside, not any kind of bad play. 10.5% DeAndre Bembry, as I've stated, I would come in under that.
I only have 8, so I'm kind of happy about that shaking out the way that it did.
Yeah. Trae Young, 7. I
guarantee I have 0. So
dude's feeling himself. I will say that he's going to take 16 3-pointers every game. He's going to be pretty appealing. But again, that price starting to close out the upside pretty noticeably. Jalen Brunson, 6.75%. Yeah, getting those point guard starts, him and Dirk with the new and the old coming into the starting lineup for the Mavs. I'm fine with it. Again, the upside a little bit limited, but he has managed to spike a few times this year. Bam Adebayo at 6.7%. That feels pretty good. He's getting the start. Maybe they really limit Whiteside and get 30-something minutes there. It's a fine spot. Dirk Nowitzki's 6.4%. I don't know what y'all are doing. He needs a real shot of getting 30, and I don't think he's done that this year. Spot is obviously fine, but I would go with the guy we have 2 spots down. I would much rather play Rodion Kurucs. Tim Hardaway Jr. is sandwiched in between Dirk Nowitzki and Rodion Kurucs. What a lovely picture. 5.4% for Tim Hardaway. Yeah, still cheap. Matchup is good. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Kurucs at 3.8. Bazemore, a much different story than on FanDuel, 3.6. I'm fine with starting Bazemore at 3.6%. Dedmon, 3.3. I like that.
So do I.
I can get behind that. Although he stupid cheap on FanDuel. He's one of the guys who is underpriced on FanDuel. I think he was like $600 per dollar cheaper there. Damari Carroll, 3%. Fine. Alan Crabb, 3%. Would probably rather that. Dinwiddie, 2.8. Waiters, 2.8. Joe Harris, 2.6. Karis LeVert, 2.2. Jared Allen, 2.16. Hassan Whiteside, 1.2%. Interesting at that point.
I don't mind that, I guess. He probably doesn't play enough minutes to matter, but
You wouldn't. Center's just too good. Like if center didn't have multiple Uber options, I'd be a little more inclined.
But you wouldn't be mad about having Whiteside at 1%. If you're going to get a 1% guy, that's a decent place to start.
Yeah. Kevin, please hammer, don't quarter, 1.1%. Alex Poitras, 0.8. Rodney Magruder, 0.7. Derek Jones Jr., 0.48. Having fun now. Rondé Hollis Jefferson, 0.27. Might play, I guess. With his rotational spot has been in peril, but having Graham out should get him back in there. Moxie Kleba, 0.25. Ed Davis, 0.21. I like 0.2% Ed Davis. Dorian Finney-Smith, 0.21. Vince Carter, 0.21. James Johnson, 0.17. Shabazz Napier, 0.08. Trey Burke, 0.08. Jalen Adams, 0.07. BJ Johnson, 0.06. Devin Harris, 0.05. Goran Dragic, 0.04, just above John Collins, 0.02. Congratulations, you collectively have played yourself.
Crazy people. I can't believe this AD nonsense.
That is nonsense. That is random, pernicious.
It's like an inverse AD.
Yeah.
Normally we're so used to him getting removed at a time where we're not happy about it. Now he's getting put back in. Now everybody hates it too. It's so weird.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Got hit with the old inverse AD today.
That'll happen. The reverse AD.
Yeah, I like that.
I enjoy the reverse myself. Yep, Brunson starting again. The starting lineup there, as we expected, with Dirk and Brunson, will be starting for the Mavs, as expected.
Yep.
We got there, 2K, man.
We did. I'm really excited. That's awesome. Thanks to everybody that makes that happen. Hit that like button if you're still sticking around.
And really exciting to do it into March, too.
Yeah.
Not to toot our own horn too much, but to have the viewership continue to grow all the way to 80% of the way through the season. Feels good.
Yeah, I'm in a good mood now. Let's spend some money.
I'll let you do that. I will vicariously live through other people winning money.
That works. I will happily be the front for that.
Okay, go ahead. I plant my flag in you, sir.
I love it. 2,000 people joining us today. A new record and our first time at that mark. Thank you so much for it. You got anything else?
No, I'm good. Back tomorrow, I am sure.
There you go. Normal schedule coming in tomorrow. We'll have the golf show with Tim and Ben in the early afternoon. Stick around for all the normal content. It'll be myself and Laffy in the morning. So best of luck, everybody. We will talk to you again later.